Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today in this video I'll be solving one more problem from LeetCode and we will also learn one new algorithm from today's video. In this video I'll be solving this majority element coding problem and I will show you 4 different solutions for this problem, starting from a naive solution to an optimal solution. And we will also learn a new algorithm, Moore's voting algorithm, in this video to get an optimal solution for this problem. And at the end we will also see code solution for this problem both in Kotlin and Java programming language. So before starting this video, if you are new to this channel and you are interested in competitive programming, you can check out my other videos from competitive programming playlist on my channel. And also don't forget to hit the subscribe button to get updates on more such videos. So let's start with this video. So here the problem statement is, given an array of size n, find the majority element. The majority element is the element that appears more than floor value of n by 2 times. You may assume that the array is non-empty and the majority element always exists in this array. So let's go through the input and output. So in example 1 we have an array of 3 elements which has elements 3, 2, 3 and the output is 3. Because here the occurrence of element 3 is twice, which is greater than flooring value of n by 2, right? Similarly, for the next example we have an array with elements 2, 2, 1, 1 and 2, 2. Here overall we have 4 2s and 3 1s. And as you can see, this array has length 7, right? So flooring value of 7 by 2 would be 3. That means the majority element has to be greater than 3, which is 4. Here we can see that the element 2 has 4 occurrences. That means the output should be 2. So here the problem statement is very clear. Here we need to return the majority element, and the majority element is the element that appears more than flooring value of n by 2 times. Okay, and n is your number of elements in the array. So let's see how we can approach this problem. So for that I'll go to my IntelliJ Scratch file. Let's see what would be the approach one. Here we can iterate over the given array using nested loops to check if the frequency of any element is greater than the flooring value of n by 2. So for example, let's say we have an array with elements 2, 2, 2 and 0. So here we know that the length of the array is 4. So the majority element has to be greater than n by 2, which is 2, right? So here we can say that while traversing through this array, we can check what is the count of these elements. So that means we can say that the number of count for element 2 is 3, which is greater than 2. That means the majority element here is 2. So the time complexity for this approach would be order of n square, as we are using nested loops to traverse over this array, and the space complexity would be order of 1. Okay. Now in approach 2, we can use frequency array or other data structures like map to keep frequency of each element, and then we can traverse that particular data structure to check if the frequency of any element is greater than flooring value of n by 2. In this approach, the time complexity would be order of n because we will be traversing the array once to initialize the frequency array, and then we will traverse the frequency array to check if any of the frequency is greater than the flooring value of n by 2. And as we are using an extra space for storing the frequency, the space complexity would be the order of n. Also, one thing to notice here is that if you are using any data structure like hash map for storing your frequencies, then there is a possibility that in worst case, the time complexity would be order of n log n because of collisions while storing the frequencies. Okay. Now we'll move to the approach 3. In this approach, we can simply sort the given array and return the middle element. So for example, let's say if you are given this array only, then the first thing you will do is you will sort this array, right? So in that case, your array will look something like this. So from here you will be returning the middle element. For an array with even number of elements, the middle element would be n by 2, and for the array which has odd number of elements, the middle element would be n by 2 plus 1. Okay. So here the time complexity would be order of n log n, assuming that you have sort your array using merge sort, and the space complexity would be order of 1 as we are not using any extra space. So now we will see the fourth approach. In this approach, we will be using Moore's voting algorithm. Using this algorithm, we can solve this problem with time complexity order of n and space complexity order of 1. Now we will see what is Moore's voting algorithm and how it helps us to get an optimal solution for the given problem. So for that, I'll go to the presentation. Here we will try to understand what is Moore's voting algorithm. As you can see in the name itself, we have this keyword voting here, right? So let's try to understand this voting algorithm using a election and voting scenario. So for example, let's take a voting scenario where we have 3 parties A, B and C, and the number of people available to cast their votes is 10. And in this election, one party can make alliance with another party to merge their vote count to win over the other parties. So for example, let's say if A has got 5 votes and B has got 3 and C has got 2 votes. Here you can see that A has the maximum vote, which is 5, but here as these parties are allowed to make alliance, B and C can make alliance to make their vote count to 5, and then there will be a tie. But for example, let's say if A has 6 votes and B and C has 2 votes, okay. So in this case, if B and C tries to make alliance, then in this case the total vote would be 4, which is less than 6. So A will have more votes, right? So here we can say that A has won this election with majority. In the similar way, the idea behind the Moore's voting algorithm is that if occurrence of each element E can be cancelled with all other elements that are different from E, then E will exist till the end if it is a majority element. So let's try to understand this statement with the election scenario. So here it says if occurrence of each element E can be cancelled with all other elements that are different from E, which means that in this voting scenario where let's say if some people have voted for A and some people have voted for B and some people have voted for C, that means as we know that these two can make alliance, so here we can say that we have 4 votes which are different from this vote, right? So if we cancel these 4 votes from here like this, if we subtract 4 from 6, still we will have 2 votes extra over here, right? But in the previous scenario where A has got 5 votes, B has got 3 and C has got 2. So here if you cancel these 5 votes with the 5 vote of A, then A will have 0 vote remaining, right? That means there is a tie. So here we cannot say that A has the majority. But in the second scenario we can say that A has the majority because even after cancelling these 4 votes, A will have extra votes. In the similar way, while solving this problem, it is saying that if the occurrence of each element E can be cancelled with all other elements that are different from E, then E will exist till the end if it is a majority element. Now we will see a dry run on an array to understand this statement better. Here we have this array on which we will be doing the dry run, whose length is 9 and the flooring value of n by 2 is 4. That means the majority element count should be greater than 4. So in order to run this algorithm on this array, the first thing we need to do is we need to initialize 2 variable element and counter with 0, and then we will traverse this array following this algorithm to find our majority element, okay? While traversing through this array, we need to check few things according to the algorithm. The first thing to check is if counter is equal to 0, then set the element to the current element and set the counter to 1. If element is equal to the current element, then simply increment the counter by 1. If element is not equal to the current element, then simply decrement the counter by 1. So these are 3 checks which we need to follow while traversing through this array. So we will start with element 2 and we will check if the counter is 0, then we will simply set this element to the current element. So here the current element is 2. So we will set this element to 2 and we will set the counter at 1. And next we will move to the next element, which is 2, and then we will check if the counter is 0. The counter is not 0. Then we will go to the next check. If the element is equal to the current element, so here you can see the element is 2 and the current element is also 2. So here in this case we simply need to increment the counter. So we will increment this counter to 2. And then we have next element 3, which is not equal to this element. That means we fall under the third criteria. Here we need to decrement the counter by 1. So this counter will decrement by 1. Okay, now next element is 7, which is again not equal to this element. That means again the counter needs to decrement by 1. And then the next element is 3. So here the counter is equal to 0. So we need to set this element with the current element and we need to set the counter with 1. After which element will become 3 and the counter will become 1. Then we'll move to the next element, which is 3, which is equal to this element. That means we simply need to increment the counter. So this counter will become 2. And then we'll move to the next element. Here we'll see if this element match with this element. It does not match, so we'll simply decrement the counter. So here we will decrement it to 1. And then we move to next element. So here the element is 2, which is again not matching with this element. So we need to decrement this counter by 1. So this becomes 0. Now we move to next element, which is 2, and here the counter is 0. So here we need to set this element with the current element and we need to set the counter to 1. So now we have element equal to 2 and the counter equal to 1. As we have reached to the end of this array, we can say that this is our majority element. So I hope the steps of this algorithm is clear. Now I will tell you why this algorithm works. So while solving any of the test cases using this algorithm, you will fall under two scenarios. Here in first scenario, where we have iterate our dry run on this array, we have seen that at this point our counter becomes 0, and at this point our counter becomes 0. So if I go back to my previous slides, you can see that at this step 7 our counter was 0, and again at this step our counter was 0. So this is happening because the occurrence of one element is getting cancelled with the occurrence of other element. So for example, let's consider this part where we have 4 elements, 2, 2, 3, 7. So if you notice, if we consider this as a small array of 4 elements, then in this array we have this element 2 which has 2 occurrences, which will get cancelled with occurrence of 3 and then occurrence of 7. That means at the end the count will be 0 for this element. Okay, similarly for the second part, if you consider this element to be a majority element, then your counter will be 2 at this position, and then after getting a different element, what you will do, you will simply decrease this counter, and again you will decrease for this element, and after this two position you will have your majority element at the rightmost part of the array. And then in second scenario where you might have your majority element at the beginning of the array, then at this point your counter will be 3, and then after this point you have two other elements which will cancel only 2 occurrences. Still you will be left with 1 occurrence, which will prove that your 2 is a majority element. You can also think of this problem in a way where you know that a majority element occurrence should be greater than half of the size of the array. For example, if you consider this array which has 5 elements, that means the occurrence of majority element for this array should be greater than the half of the size of this array, which is greater than 2.5, that means 3. Also you can think in this way that occurrence of these two will get cancelled with this element, occurrence of these two will get cancelled with this element, but occurrence of these two will remain, right? No one is there to cancel this occurrence. That means this is the majority element. So the idea behind this voting algorithm was to cancel each other occurrences so that the majority element will remain at the end. So I hope now this algorithm is clear, and if you're still confused with some part of this algorithm, I would suggest you to watch this video again and try out this algorithm on different sample test cases. I can assure you that things will become more clear after doing that. Now it is the time to talk about its time complexity. So as we have seen that we have traversed the array only once, that means the time complexity for this approach would be order of n, and the space complexity is order of 1 as we have not used any extra space. So next we will see demo code in Kotlin and Java. So for that I'll go to my IntelliJ editor. So this is the Kotlin solution for this problem. Here I have written a method majority element which takes an int array. Here I have initialized the majority element with 0 and count with 0. And then I'm iterating through this array, and then I'm checking if the count is 0, then I'm simply setting the majority element with the current element, and then I'm setting the counter to 1. And if the element is equal to majority element, I'm simply incrementing the counter, and if the element is not equal to majority element, I'm simply decrementing this counter, and at the end I'm returning this majority element, right? So if you see, I have written a main function from where I have initialized this int array with some values, and then I have called this function, and then I'm printing this value. So let's run this example. So here as you can see that we will get 2 as a majority element, right? So here you can see in the output we got 2. So now we'll see the Java solution. So here is the Java solution where I have written this majority element method which takes an int array, and then I have initialized majority element and counter variable to 0, and then I iterate through this array. I check if the count is 0, I simply set the majority element with the current element and set the counter to 1, and if the element is equal to majority element, then I increment the counter, otherwise I simply decrement the counter, and then finally I'll return the majority element. So for this as well, I have created an int array, and then I'm calling this function and then simply printing this value. So let's run this to see the output. So here also as you can see we have got 2 as a majority element. So I hope this algorithm is clear to you. This algorithm is very easy to implement but little trickier to understand. So I would suggest you to watch this video multiple times in case you have any doubts. That's all about this video. If you learned something from this video, please hit the like button, and if you're new to this channel, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and press that bell icon so that you get notified for our upcoming new videos. Thank you for watching.